The sports ministry is trying to prevail on Brij Bhushan to actually step down from his post or temporarily step down pending investigation. Mind you, we would like to underline right now that the sports ministry doesn't quite have the mandate to instruct Brij Bhushan Sharan to step down. It lies entirely with the federation. It's an independent, democratically elected body, but will certain assurances be given to the players? Well, I just want to take you through, walk you back on the entire protest over 48 hours now, viewers. Yesterday, by the evening at about 5 p.m., when the wrestlers had their press conference, they seemed to have not much faith even in the sports ministry. They were not happy. However, at about 10:30 at night, when the sports minister, Anurag Thakur, who's right here locked in conversation at 22 Akbar Road as well, called all the wrestlers for dinner. He cut short his tour. He was to go to Himachal Pradesh, Hamirpur, cut that short, came in here, spoke with the wrestlers, and mind you, viewers, that meeting which carried on from 10:30 p.m. late last night way into early hours of the morning till about 2 a.m. In the morning. After that, there seems to have been a bit of a headway. Why do I say that? Because the wrestlers, they seem to be at least assuaged for the time being. Now, this is the second round of meeting. The first one seemed to have made some headway. Will this one be conclusive, despite the fact that the sports ministry really does not have the dibs, if I may add, or any stakeholder where it comes down to the functioning of the federation or the Wrestling Federation of India. But, lots of questions that come to the fore. Number one, why is it that Mr. Sharan has cancelled his meeting? He wanted to go all out attacking the Congress. He's also a BJP MP. The BJP as a political outfit can exert pressure on Mr. Sharan by saying that, listen, we're going to cancel your affiliation to the BJP if you don't step down. There can be pressure tactics that can prevail, and be used as well. On the other hand, viewers, we're going to give you both sides of the story. There is a sense, especially where the supporters of Brij Bhushan Sharan are concerned, that this is an attempt to play one state against the other and the politics of one state fueling the protest. But mind you, viewers, whatever that might be, whatever the allegations, whatever wheels might be turning behind the scenes, one has to hear what our wrestlers are saying. Take away, all the cliches of women, betis, and, take all of that away. Ultimately, these are Class A athletes, Olympians, wrestlers who won India Commonwealth medals, Olympic medals, Asian medals, and if we are not going to listen to them, even if there is an iota of truth, they say 5 to 6 girls have proof. They say that proof would be submitted to the IOA, the president of it, Ms. Preeti Choudhry, which is the Indian Olympic Association. And a complaint has already been lodged with the IOA. Lots of angles. Trust India today to put the spotlight on each one of them, explore them. But cutting across to Abhishek Mishra, my colleague who's joining us from Gonda. Abhishek, the press conference was to take place in Gonda, where you're standing. Get us up to speed with the latest. What suddenly transpired that Mr. Sharan, who given you the first interview late last night, went all guns blazing against the Congress, against Dipinder Hooda, wanted to reveal all in that 5 p.m. press conference. That press conference stands cancelled. What's the reason?
Well, absolutely, Preeti, and this is the stance which is absolutely opposite to what Mr. Brij Bhushan Sharan was claiming in the morning. He was saying, I have the evidences, I will not resign. All the allegations which has been made on me have no, substantial evidence, any of them from their side, and it is a political conspiracy. He spoke about it to us exclusively yesterday night, and then in the morning, the time was given for the 12 in the afternoon for the press briefing, where he said he will come up with the revelations. Then the time was extended for 4 p.m. in the evening, then 5 p.m. And we kept on waiting for the time. And then at 7 p.m., his son, Pratik Singh, turned up on this particular stage and said that there will be no press conference. Now look at the picture on the stage. There is no one out there. All the chairs which were filled with all those people who were supporting him, all these people from this particular institute, and all those people who were supporting constantly were actually present there. But now there is nothing happening of that sort. And what reason reason has been given is that he, as of now, is not willing to make any official statement as far as this allegation is concerned. He said that he's waiting for the general body meeting to be held on 22nd of this month in Ayodhya. And in that meeting, after that only, he will be coming up in the media and will be speaking about what he has to say as far as these severe allegations are concerned. Now, the other thing which is very important, that there has been a change in his, kind of personality, because morning when we were there, he was roaming around on the ground, interacting with the sportsmen who have come for this meet, was talking to the people out here to meet, even to us. He interacted with the media off camera and he was like very friendly, very confident, his body language. But now he not even turned up to give this message. His son, Preeti, was there on the stage and he gave that message. And he also confirmed one thing, that the answer, all the clarification which was asked from the sports ministry has already been given from the federation side. So whatever he has to say as far as the allegations are concerned, with all that claim which he was making that he has the substantial evidences, he can prove that these players have no future, they are doing it for the political reasons, and he has never been in the part of any kind of, such allegation in his career. But at 7 p.m. right now, nothing of that sort happened. Things have changed, and now he is saying that whatever he has to say, he will only speak after 22nd of January, after the general body meeting of the federation, which he has called in Ayodhya. Yes.
Will be very interesting, because a lot will lie on that general body meeting, especially the members of the federation. Where do they stand, viewers? Because it's entirely up to them whether they want him to continue or they want him to step down. We're going to be bringing down the breakdown of the federation for you, but that's later on, viewers. Continuous coverage right here where we keep the spotlight. We're also going to tell you a little in depth on who Mr. Sharan is. Been in many political parties, was with the Samajwadi Party as well. Not really, someone who's been, who's cut his teeth with the BJP. He is now with the BJP, but has won 6 straight elections where Kaiserganj is concerned. And if I may add, is a colourful personality in more ways than one. And if those of our viewers who are attuned to UP politics, colloquial terminology, Bahubali would fit rather well when it comes down to what the image of Mr. Sharan is. With that, I'm going to go into a quick break. When we come back, we're going to pull in my colleague Milan, who's tracking all that's going on within the wrestlers' camp. What's going on? When are they submitting proof to the IOA? What is the plan of action up ahead? Are they looking at filing an FIR? Because many people right now, viewers, are raising questions that why aren't you actually approaching the cops? All of that coming up. Stay with us.
You are watching India Today.
It's 2023, and India remains the sole shining star in the global economy. So what lies ahead as the Modi government prepares its last full budget before the 2024 general elections? Join the biggest names in business journalism, decoding the jargon with the biggest newsmakers. From the most credible, in-depth analysis of Budget 2023, tune in for Modinomics 2023 through the month. Only on India Today and Business Today Television, gold standard of business journalism.
Put out a very interesting reaction to the fact that the BBC documentary has referred to a UK government report, and you've called it a slanted report. What did you mean by that, sir?
Well, after I took over, the British High Commission sent one of their officers, I think it was the First Secretary, I don't clearly recall, to do an investigation on the spot of what happened during these riots. And then they circulated their findings, their report, to the EU heads of missions. And one of the EU ambassadors close to us, he informed me of this. It was a very negative report, obviously. So I took the step to issue, if you like, a kind of a warning to the EU heads of missions and the diplomatic corps in general not to interfere in internal affairs. This was totally uncalled for the British High Commission to take upon itself the responsibility to conduct an investigation on the spot on an issue which was very, very sensitive and try to mold the opinion of the European heads of missions in this regard. And I had another occasion when I had a luncheon meeting with the EU heads of mission in Delhi. I again, at the end of it was on India-EU relations in general, and at the end of it, I again cautioned them about not interfering in our internal affairs and making judgments on this issue when it was quite clear that all the inquiries that needed to be done were being done, and the issue was being discussed by our own people in the press and elsewhere. So there was no need for a foreign...
Ambassador Sibal, if I may, are they allowed to do so? Are diplomats permitted to carry out an investigation and submit reports?
Well, you know, you can't stop anybody from any embassy to visit any part of India, even if there are problems in that area, because we are a democratic country, we don't stop them. But what really the missions normally do is not to put themselves out in this manner where the host government can view what they do very negatively. Now, I can understand a situation if some British nationals or the British community in India was, in a sense, being targeted, and there was legitimate concern to find out what had happened. But this was purely an internal affair. And then, you know, 20 years after that, to make a documentary and quote Jack Straw in this regard. Obviously, Jack Straw didn't come here physically to inspect anything. They were dependent on the reports that they received from the High Commission here.
You are watching India Today.
All right, viewers. So where have things moved since yesterday? There has been now an official complaint that's been submitted with IOA, the president of which is Preeti Choudhry. On the other hand, lots of questions being asked of our wrestlers that why aren't they actually lodging a criminal complaint on the case of sexual assault? Why isn't there an FIR? Well, nobody also stops the police to take suo moto cognizance of the matter and approach the wrestlers. But having said that, that was a question that was posed many times over, Milan, to the wrestlers this evening as well when they conducted a press conference. So why no FIR yet?
So their contention has been, Preeti, that we want the Indian Olympics Association to take a cognizance. The complaint has just been filed. And besides that, the evidences that need to be submitted for it to be proven as a case of sexual harassment has also not been given. What Vinesh Fogart and other wrestlers are saying that it's the matter of the career of these girls. They're not even revealing the names. They say they have a recording, but they haven't come out with that recording yet. And all these evidences will have to be put forward in front of the committee as well if they look into the allegations of sexual harassment. Now the question is why they are not registering an FIR. They said that that is what we want, the WFI to do. First of all, it should be dismembered. This person should be removed, Braj Bhushan Singh.
And they're putting the onus on the IOA and the WFI, right?
Yes.
That's what
Yes, absolutely. That's their
and
onus.
if they don't get the kind of support, what's their second step?
So when we asked them this question, they said that we are going to take the legal route then. What kind of legal route that's going to be? They're perhaps going to speak to their lawyers and question what kind of a legal, legislative route they can take. Can they file a case in court? Can they go to court with this entire matter? So that is also on the anvil for them at the moment.
All right, so Milan's going to stay with me through the course of the next half hour. Do stay with us because we're going to keep the spotlight on and the heat on the story that we've been tracking for the last 48 hours. We're at 22 Akbar Road. Right inside there, the Sports Minister Anurag Thakur locked in conversation with the wrestlers. Will anything come off in round 2? We'll know shortly. Stay with us.
You are watching India Today.
Why are our Olympic medalists on the roads from wrestling? पूछते हैं बजरंग पुनिया जो एक तरह से लीडर बन गए हैं, विनेश फोगाट, साक्षी मलिक, आप सब जीते हैं, लेकिन आज आप रास्ते पर क्यों आए हैं? क्या वजह हुई कि जो रेसलर मैट पे होता है आज रास्ते पर आ गया?
देखिए सर, ये हमारे लिए भी बड़े दुर्भाग्य की बात है कि कुश्ती में इतना कुछ चल रहा है और उसके लिए आवाज़ उठाई तो हमें यहाँ बैठना पड़ रहा है। अगर हम सच्चाई की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं, हम अपने कुश्ती को बचाने की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं, जो यौन शोषण हो रहा था, एक मेंटली टॉर्चर किया जा रहा था खिलाड़ियों को, उस चीज़ को हमने पता लगा उस चीज़ के बारे में, क्योंकि बहुत समय से पता था, पर
बहुत समय से ये पता था, फिर आज ही क्यों आप लोग आ गए?
एकजुटता, क्योंकि सभी को डरा के रखा जाता था, अकेले आदमी को डरा के रखा जाता था, तो एकजुटता दिखाई खिलाड़ियों ने, तभी ये पॉसिबल हो पाया है। क्योंकि आप सबको पता है पावरफुल आदमी हैं, तो उनके अगेंस्ट जाने में भी बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम होती है।
इस समय ही क्यों किया? इतने सालों से अगर हो रहा था, आप इतने मेडल्स भी जीते थे, इस समय ही क्यों? कब से हो रहा है ये?
ऐसा समय आ गया है सर कि ऐसा लगता है कि जिंदगी को ख़त्म ही कर लें। अगर जिंदगी को ख़त्म ही करना है तो जिसने गुनाह किया क्यों ना उसको सज़ा दिलवाई जाए। अपनी ज़िंदगी तो ख़त्म हो ही जाएगी, क्योंकि वो अगर हम उनसे हमारी कुश्ती छीन लेंगे, अगर हमारे जो लड़कियां हैं, जो लड़के हैं, जो नौजवान हैं, अगर उनका भविष्य ही छीन लेंगे, उनके माता पिता कहाँ जाएंगे, उनकी फैमिली कहाँ जाएगी जिन्होंने रेसलिंग में इतना इन्वेस्ट कर दिया है। अगर मरने की बात आ गई है तो क्यों ना इंसाफ के लिए लड़ा जाए और देश के लिए जो इतने
इस लेवल तक बात आ गई थी।
इस लेवल तक बात आ गई थी। आप सोचिए, हम 2 दिन यहाँ बैठे, कितने पावरफुल वो लोग हैं। 2 दिन हम खिलाड़ी जो देश की धरोहर हैं, प्रधानमंत्री जी सड़कों पे बिठाते हैं, अगर वो सड़क पे बैठे हैं और फिर भी उनका इस्तीफा नहीं हो रहा है तो कितने बड़े आदमी हैं, आपको भी पता है इस बात का। तो
डर है कहीं कि इतने बड़े आदमी के सामने आपने टक्कर ली है, वो फेडरेशन के चीफ है, क्या होगा आपके करियर का, इसके बारे में सोचा है साक्षी जी?
नहीं सर, बिल्कुल भी डर नहीं है। डर किस बात का, जब हमसे जूनियर लड़कियां अपना करियर दाव पे लगा के, अपनी जान दाव पे लगा के यहाँ बैठी है, तो मुझे किस बात का डर है। मैंने तो कुश्ती को बहुत कुछ दिया है और कुश्ती के लिए ही हम यहाँ बैठे हैं और कुश्ती को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए यहाँ बैठे हैं। जब छोटे बच्चे नहीं डर रहे तो मेरा डरने का तो कोई सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता सर।
Kashmir, once known as the paradise on earth, for more than 3 decades in the news for terror and killings, Deepa Soni, an artist from Udhampur, uses her brush to remind us of all good things about Kashmir. She wants the youth of the valley to be aware of the centuries-old heritage of Kashmir. She shares a vision of a positive, peaceful and fearless Kashmir through her canvas.
I keep on trying different mediums. Like आप देखेंगे कि 3-dimensional काम मैं बहुत करती हूँ, कई बार मैं abstracts बहुत करती हूँ, कई बार मैं folk styles भी कर रही हूँ। मिनिएचर के साथ में मेरा बहुत ही मुझे बहुत पसंद है मिनिएचर पेंटिंग्स करना, जो कि बसोली पेंटिंग मुझे बहुत पसंद है।
Through her exquisite paintings, Soni recently depicted the autumn and what it means for the valley.
जो यंग जनरेशन है वो नए आर्ट फॉर्म्स के साथ काफ़ी इंस्पायर रहती है, और जो पुरानी जनरेशन है वो भी अपने पुराने हेरिटेज जो आर्ट फॉर्म्स करती आ रही है, अब वो आगे जनरेशन्स को नहीं सिखा रही है। तो कहीं ना कहीं जब यंग जनरेशन को इसमें इंटरेस्ट होगा तो ये फोक स्टाइल्स को हम आगे लेके जाएंगे।
Sony's main objective is to promote folk arts through exhibitions to keep the youth engaged. With Mauzu Mohammed, Bureau Report, India Today.
By Samsonite. Tested like Samsonite. Volkswagen Tiguan, India's safest SUVW.
Good evening, viewers. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry, and we come to you directly from 22 Akbar Road. That's the residence of the sports minister. This is the second time around. The wrestlers are in talks with Anurag Thakur inside. Second round, viewers. Yesterday, 10:30 p.m., the wrestlers had gone inside only to emerge at 2 a.m. in the morning. Yesterday evening, before they went in, they were not happy with the way things were being handled. 2 a.m., it seemed that there was some headway. But mind you, and we have to keep reiterating that fact, that the sports ministry is not a stakeholder when it comes down to the Wrestling Federation of India. It's an independent body, democratically elected, and there is zero interference. So that would also mean that even if the sports ministry asks Mr. Sharan to step down pending inquiry or try to sack him, it can't. It has absolutely no dibs. It would have to come in through the federation. Let me quickly also tell you two big developments that has happened in the last 24 hours, and one is a non-development of sorts, because Mr. Sharan, who through the course of the day, through various reactions to the press, posturing, indicated that he's going to hold an explosive press conference at about 5 p.m, reveal all names. He did reveal one, Dipinder Hooda from the Congress. He blamed yesterday in an exclusive interview to India Today, saying that this is an entire conspiracy by the Congress, put together, stitched together by none else but Dipinder Hooda. But having said that, through the course, he maintained he's going to reveal more names, and the entire blueprint of this conspiracy is what he called it. He's cancelled that. So no development there, so no press conference there. We're going to maybe now know more on the 22nd, which is the day after, where the meet of the Indian Wrestling Federation of India takes place. On the other account, the wrestlers in question, all of them, have now lodged an official complaint with the IOA, headed by Preeti Usha. It's an official complaint that has been given by the wrestlers. Lots of questions also being asked. Number one, why is it that the wrestlers are not, lodging an FIR? What's the reason? Well, they want to put the onus on the federation as well as speaking to the sports minister, hoping that if really no tangible pressure, because the sports ministry is not a stakeholder, but there will be other kinds of pressure that would be put on Mr. Sharan so that he steps down. So a lot happening. Will this meeting be conclusive? Well, other than promises, assurances, there can be nothing conclusive that comes out of this meeting, viewers, because once again, the sports ministry really cannot do much but to maybe morally, pressurize Mr. Sharan to step down. But with what we have seen of Mr. Sharan in the last 24 hours, he doesn't seem to be the kind of individual who will succumb to moral pressure. It also seems that he's not someone who's actually going to get weighed in by the whip of the Bharatiya Janata Party. I want to now quickly, bring in my colleague Nikhil Nas, who's joining us, who was with me here last night while we tracked the developments till about 2 a.m. Nikhil, one quick question. What is interesting is that Mr. Sharan who was to have a press conference at 5 p.m., has decided to cancel it. Is there anything going now in the background? Are there any pulls, pressures, tugs, or he's just going to wait out for the federation meet on the 22nd, and a lot would depend on the members of the federation where they stand?
It's very interesting to note that, Preeti, because earlier the kind of information that we were receiving from his camp was that he will hold a press conference. Remember, he did give in India Today an interview earlier as well, in which he defended all the charges that were levied against him. After which he said that, listen, I will give a written reply. We were waiting for that press conference. They've sent that written reply, of course, to the sports ministry. After which we thought that there will be a press conference. It was scheduled at 3 o'clock. Then it got pushed to 4 p.m. and then later to 5 p.m. And now we're getting to know that there will be no press conference at all. And he's eventually only going to speak after that meeting of the Wrestling Federation on the 22nd. So I guess he must have had a few advisors advising him what step he must take. What that also kind of tells you that maybe the pressures that we were expecting to be exerted from the political side, maybe the BJP or anything to do with moral grounds, that's clearly had no impact on Brij Bhushan Sharan at the moment. His advisors would have clearly told him that, listen, legally, you have the right to continue. Nothing has been proven against you. Judicially, the sports ministry can't do much at the moment. So until such time that the members of the Wrestling Federation that are made up of all the state association, they decide to vote you out, there is no reason for you to step down. Secondly, he may have thought that maybe because the details are still clear, and I think where you are at the moment, that meeting is also going to be very crucial, because since all the issues couldn't be discussed last night whilst we were there, and now certain issues might come to light now, maybe he wants to wait, get to know all the details, all the charges that have been leveled against him. Because if you remember, he's also mentioning the goalpost has been changing and fresher allegations are coming his way. So maybe he wants to wait out on that after there is a press conference by the sports ministry or even the wrestlers, after which he may want to come out and speak to the media. But as of now, what we're getting to hear, he's saying, no, I do not want to address the media. I'll do it after the 22nd, after I've spoken to all the stakeholders in the Wrestling Federation.
You know, all the pressures that we talk about, and, it's a good time to bring in Rahul Srivastava, who's very well tuned to the politics of Uttar Pradesh. Rahul, for someone who knows UP politics by the back of his hand, I want to ask you a quick question. Mr. Sharan hardly looks the type who will succumb to moral pressure or a political pressure of any sorts, even though if it comes from his own party, which is the BJP right now.
Yes, Preeti, he's not the kind to succumb to pressure. Remember that he wins the seat on his own and he eventually affiliates to a political party. That winnability element endears him to all political parties that he's been part of in the past. Now, the factor here is that if he succumbs to the pressure and gives in, that is an admission of guilt. Become virtually an admission of guilt. If the BJP, his party or the government acts against him, it will be also mean that it is some kind of admission that under pressure, Sharan asked to go, and eventually there is some sense of guilt. And at that, the kind of political fallout both are having. One, not asking him to go, because that is definitely hurting the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and the kind of posturing that the BJP has been doing over the last few years. But it is also feared that if the BJP and the government acts against Mr. Sharan Singh, then it will be accepted that a member of parliament from the BJP in Uttar Pradesh has done things which do not really go well as far as the BJP's ideological position vis-a-vis women is concerned. That is why I think there is some sense of space for Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh to operate. Otherwise, in a party like the BJP, it's very difficult for a leader to get away with this. But we have seen increasingly Sadhvi Pragya, Mr. Teni, Ajay Teni, and now Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. The BJP doesn't do what the Congress used to, that if there is pressure from the opposition, public perception and others, the ministers were asked to resign, MPs were acted against. That doesn't happen here because nobody wants admission of guilt.
Right. I want to bring in Rahul, stay with me. I want to ask you another quick question right now as I also bring in Alka Tomar. Well, she's a wrestler herself, as well as Amit Srivastav, my colleague who's been Amit Bharadwaj, who's been tracking all the details on what's going on inside where the players are concerned. I also still have Nikhil Nas. But Rahul, very quickly, if I can get you in on this. The Sports Ministry, as Nikhil has clearly elucidated, really has no dibs. No stakeholders cannot really sack him or ask him to step down. At best, just morally tell him that, you should, or advise him to step down. Having said that, the BJP would be, including the government, would be treading very cautiously this time. They don't want to appear to be anti-wrestlers, anti-athletes. They, they went the other side in terms of perception when it came down to talks with, the farmers initially when things started breaking down. They don't want a similar narrative to be woven by the opposition this time.
I think the BJP doesn't want to act in haste, because usually whenever it has been seen in the past politically, when a political party acts in haste, especially in the Congress UPA time, Preeti, we saw that it becomes the narrative that, see, action has been taken by the party or the government, and eventually there is a sense of guilt in it. And that's why I will say that it might take a bit of time. And see, the kind of tactics that Mr. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh can employ is that if he wants to call a meeting and wants to take it to the federation, he wants to have the meeting in Ayodhya. Now that's very close to him. That's his territory. And remember, in this territory, though he has been at cross purposes and he has crossed his roads with, as far as Yogi Adityanath is concerned, these two leaders don't get along. Still, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh holds sway in that region. That indicates it might, and that is what he wants to play on his own territory.
Well, you're right there. He's a 6-time Lok Sabha MP for no mean feat. But quickly bringing in Amit Srivastav and Alka Tomar into this conversation. तोमर जी, मैं आपसे वही सवाल पूछना चाहूंगी, आपकी इसमें रुख है कि इन लड़कियों ने पहले कुछ नहीं बोला। देखिए, आप भी महिलाएं, आपको भी पता है, हिम्मत लगती है बहुत सारी और नंबर्स में स्ट्रेंथ आती है। तो अगर देर आए दुरुस्त आए, अगर कुछ बोल रही हैं तो सुनना क्यों नहीं चाहिए? अलका तोमर जी, आपको आवाज आ रही है?
जी मैम, दोबारा से एक बार बोलेंगे?
जी मैम, आपसे यही सवाल पूछ रही हूँ क्योंकि आप एक खिलाड़ी हैं जिनका रुख थोड़ा अलग है। आप कह रही हैं लड़कियों ने पहले कुछ नहीं बोला, पुलिस कंप्लेन क्यों नहीं की? आपको भी पता है, बहुत हिम्मत लगती है। कभी कभार जब और लोग आपके साथ इकट्ठे होते हैं तो हौसला और बढ़ता है। तो वो तो गलत बात है ना मैम बोलना?
मैं ये नहीं बोल रही, मैं कहना चाह रही हूँ कि अगर आपके साथ हुआ है तो आपको तभी एक्शन लेना चाहिए था, बस ये कहने का है। और मैं भी एक लड़की हूँ, मेरी भी एक बेटी है, मैं भी इसी खेल से आती हूँ, मैं भी अपने खिलाड़ियों का सम्मान करती हूँ। मुझे पता है ये मेडल कैसे आते हैं, कितनी मेहनत से आते हैं। तो मैं उनके खिलाफ नहीं बोल रही हूँ। मैं ये कह रही हूँ, जब आपके साथ ये हुआ था तभी आवाज हमारी उठानी चाहिए थी, तभी हमको इन खिलाड़ियों को साथ लेकर चलना चाहिए था। विनेश भी कैंप में रहती है, बजरंग भी हमारे साथ है, साक्षी भी हमारे साथ थी तब से, तो तभी हमने आवाज क्यों नहीं उठाई?
मैम, क्योंकि तब आवाज नहीं उठाई, आपको भी पता है, पूरा मी टू कैंपेन हुआ है जिसमें अगर आप देखें तो बहुत लोगों ने सालों बाद आवाज उठाई है, क्योंकि हिम्मत लगती है। कभी कभार आपको लगता है आप बहुत बड़े आदमी के सामने नहीं बोल सकते, जब आपको लगता है कि आपके साथ 5-6 आवाज और हैं तो करेज बढ़ता है। तो इसमें क्या गलत है? तब नहीं बोले, अब बोले, अगर हम इसमें लग जाएं तो फिर जो मुद्दा है वो तो छूट ही जाएगा।
गलत कर रहे हैं आवाज उठा के, मैंने ये नहीं कहा कि आप गलत कर रहे हो आवाज उठा के, लेकिन जहां तक मैंने देखा,
तो आप कह रहे हैं कि पहले कहना चाहिए था।
हाँ, बस मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि पहले ही जब हमारे साथ हुआ था या और लड़कियों के साथ हो रहा था तो हमें आवाज अपनी ऐसे ही तभी उठानी चाहिए थी, ये नौबत आगे नहीं आती जो इतना आगे ये गए हैं।
आपके साथ कभी ऐसा कुछ वाकया हुआ है?
बिल्कुल नहीं, मेरे साथ ऐसा कोई वाकया नहीं हुआ। अगर मेरे साथ होता मैं आवाज अपनी उठाती।
आपके साथ नहीं हुआ?
नहीं, मेरे साथ नहीं हुआ, ना कोई मेरी किसी साथी के साथ हुआ है। मैं एज ए
अलका जी बने रहिए हमारे साथ।
2011 में ये रेसलिंग छोड़ी है, फिर उसके बाद मैं
अलका जी बने रहिए। आई जस्ट वांट टू कट अक्रॉस टू Ji, Alka ji. Amit, my colleague who's joining us, he's been actually tracking the players on where they stand. And one question, Amit, because we're trying to, play sometimes here as well the devil's advocate. On the other side, there's a huge group which is asking why no police complaint. Why is that? The wrestlers who have alleged sexual assault haven't lodged a criminal complaint. Why haven't they approached the police? The police is free to take suo motu cognizance as well and lodge an FIR. They haven't. But in the case, why haven't these wrestlers? What is it that they have to say on that account?
Well, Preeti, this question is being asked from all these protesting wrestlers from day one, that we do understand that, the voices were not raised in the past, and but now that you are protesting at Jantar Mantar, why are you not filing an official police complaint? There are two responses to this particular question that we must have heard from Bajrang Punia, Vinesh Fogart coming out. Number one is that they want this matter to get solved within the sports arena, that is the Wrestling Federation of India and the Sports Ministry. They want the officials, the government to take action and sack Mr. Brij Bhushan Singh for the allegations which is being leveled against him. Now there's an official complaint filed with the IOA. It is up to the IOA and the investigative committees which will be formed from here on to act and investigate the entire matter. But there's also a cultural context to the entire chapter, Preeti, we must understand. Like these wrestlers are saying that...
Me. I want to bring in Nikhil Naz very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. There is a huge cultural context to it. I'm cutting you short. I apologize. And the reason I'm doing so is I want to quickly bring in Nikhil Naz because you talk about the IOA now investigating. So, Nikhil, I just want closing comments because, we're running out of time. But for people to understand, who were a little confused in the beginning, a 3-member panel was set up, 72 hours given. What happens to that now? What happens to what's happening inside? Because there is now already a complaint with the IOA. On the other hand, there is now a meeting, of the Federation on the 22nd in Ayodhya. Contextualize everything.
Well, I think the first and the most important meeting now will be the Wrestling Federation meeting, because there itself, democratically, the members would have to decide whether Brij Bhushan Sharan should continue on or not. If let's say there is a scenario where the members decide that no, on moral grounds, he should step aside pending an inquiry, then he'd have to do that. He'll have no option left at the moment. Of course, the IOA is also a body which the Wrestling Federation is affiliated to. They all follow the Olympic Charter, but there again, they will not have the jurisdiction of impeaching him. Then there is the Sports Ministry that's also looking into this entire matter. And the Sports Ministry, as I said earlier, also can't do much. But from the fact that de-recognize the Wrestling Federation, and at best when they de-recognize the Wrestling Federation, all they can do is ensure that no funds then are given to the National Federation, which the Sports Ministry gives on an annual basis. That is roughly around 70 lakh rupees that they give every National Federation. So that might be stopped at an immediate basis. So that's what's going to happen. But as I said, the most important meeting now is going to be the Wrestling Federation meeting that is going to be taking place in the home turf of
Nikhil, before I go into a break, I'm sorry, I might be exceeding my time there, but I want to ask you that question. It comes down to the Wrestling Federation and the meeting. I want to know how many members in the Wrestling Federation, who comprises of the Wrestling Federation. Do you can you give us a basic sense?
So there will be 29 members based on each state, and that's how it's divided. And each of them then have 2 votes. So there are 2 votes per state association. So you'd have to do your math. That should be about 58 votes, if I'm not mistaken, on last count. So those many members then sit down to vote. I think you would need a 2/3 majority to impeach the existing president. And I think that's pretty common amongst all federations that you have. Once you reach that majority, that is when then you can ask the president to step aside. So I'm just putting it briefly based on what I remember as far as the number of members and the number of votes that you get.
And those 2 appointees from each state, are they political appointments?
No, they are also democratically elected within the state association. So states then are distributed amongst districts. Each district is then represented by a member. Then they go through a voting process, and then there are office bearers there. And then this association then gets 2 votes to vote. And then this is decided jointly by the association and not by an individual as such.
Right. All right. I appreciate all you joining us, gentlemen. Thank you. And Ms. Tomar, appreciate it as well. You know, viewers, there are a lot of layers to the story. Understandably, we're going to try and peel each and every layer. But the overpowering issue, and it must be overpowering, and let's keep away all the, the cliches that we hear about Beti Bachao, about Behens, about women. It's got nothing to do with them. It's about our Olympians who've made a very, very grave charge, who actually have looked you, the viewer, in the camera while sitting on a cold evening in Jantar Mantar and asked you, why don't you believe us? The same women who you stood up proudly and clapped when they were adorning the tricolour as they made a podium finish. Think about it. With that, a quick break to stay with us. Up next is Rahul Kanwal from Davos.
There's a controversy over his upcoming film. It's called Gandhi Godse Ek Yudh. I'm sure you already figured what the controversy is all about. It also speaks not just about Mahatma Gandhi, but also about Nathuram Godse, the assassin of Gandhi. And that's what's triggered a huge debate, a huge conversation about this film. Mr. Santoshi, thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. Let's begin, sir, with the most obvious question about the message that you want to send across with this movie.
The message is very simple. There are a lot of allegations on Gandhi ji, various things. People accuse him of various things. And he never got an opportunity to explain his positions or his point of view. Similarly, Godse also shot Gandhi ji. He gave a long statement in the court. But unfortunately, his voice was suppressed. People never came to know his intention, his motive, his point of view. So I thought it's very, very important for today's generation people. Everybody should know Gandhi ji and Godse's point of view. So this film is a platform where I bring both Gandhi ji and Godse face to face so they can talk about their ideologies, they can debate, they can argue. And I'm sure seeing the film, people will understand Gandhi ji also better and they'll also come to know Godse, the real Godse.
I was going through the brief of your movie and the trailer. Essentially, it is that Godse does attempt to assassinate Gandhi. But what if Gandhi had survived and then Gandhi meets him in prison and they have a conversation? So that's the premise of your film.
Yeah, that's an interesting twist. As a director, took the creative liberty. That's the only thing. Rest, everything, the scenes are history, the spoken words, the dialogues, everything is history.
But the question then, Mr. Santoshi, is are you giving a platform to Nathuram Godse? You may be talking about, his point of view, his version, his what he believed in, none of that coming through. But at the end of the day, he's a murderer. He was someone who killed the father of the nation. And is that something you recognize as well?
No, it's not that I approve of that or anything like that. But I think it's 1948. The incident took place in 1948. More than 75 years, nearly 75 years over. Still, if you are scared to hear his point of view, then something is wrong. I think if you ask the youngsters, young generation, they all would like to know. And by Godse's point of view, also see the circumstances, we see the history, what the kind of situation it was in 1948.
But the concern is, Mr. Santoshi, then we're kind of justifying what he did.
No, why to justify? The judge didn't agree with Godse and he was sentenced, he was hanged. So why will I justify today? I am only bringing the truth, what Godse spoke. And I am also equally bringing Gandhiji's ideologies. Truth, non-violence and peace. I am talking loud and clear of Gandhiji's point of view also. And we have taken utmost care that there is nowhere we have presented Gandhiji any wrong light or criticizing Gandhi for anything.
He made his acting debut in 2000 and is now one of the finest actors in the industry. Well, she started off and has been making the cut since 2008.
Why are you asking me so many questions? तुम्हें क्या लगता है? लड़कियां सिर्फ अफेयर करने के लिए होती हैं?
He's from Amchi, Mumbai. She, on the other hand, was born in Delhi to a Punjabi father and a Kashmiri mother. Both come from different backgrounds, one insider, other one an outsider with a 10-year age gap. But when love strikes, it knows no boundaries, and that's exactly what Hrithik Roshan and Sabaa Azad's love story is all about. That's right. Interestingly, the duo met in the most Gen Z way possible. In fact, just like how Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas did. Sweet but almost unthinkable. Yes. Sabaa slipped into Hrithik's DMs to thank him for his sweet gesture after Hrithik had shared one of Sabaa's musical collaboration to praise her.
China's National Bureau of Statistics threw a surprise this week. The country's population fell in 2022 to 1.411 billion, down by 0.85 million people from 2023. The United Nations had projected India would overtake China's population this year. But the latest population data from China indicates India may well have done so. The United Nations had projected India's population to be 1.417 billion in 2022, higher than what Chinese announced this week. Conclusive evidence will come only when India conducts its census that was delayed by the pandemic. The potential implications for both nations are huge. China's loss can be India's gain. According to the UN estimates, over 27% of the country's population is between the age of 15 and 29. At 253 million, India is also home to the world's largest adolescent population. While India will have a growing workforce in the coming years, the challenge will be to ensure jobs for them.
We need a big skilling kind of activity and not just the general education level of the people. Currently, we do not have that kind of a skilled people like they had in China when they started this entire process of industrialization or opening up. So we need to look at some of these 2-3 sectors and also ensure that the education system produces skilled people in terms of this.
While policymakers have started putting reasonable emphasis on skill creation, recent government data shows around 45% of workforce is still employed in the agriculture sector.
This employment generation has to come to the fore in all policy matters in future. And we need to release people from the agriculture sector to other activities.
Experts believe that the younger the population, the better, but they also have to be part of India's workforce. And that will only happen if there are meaningful job opportunities for this population base. Policy interventions now will make sure and help India's demographic dividend not turn into a demographic nightmare. With Nasir Khan in New Delhi, Milan Sharma for India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.